Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Monday, July 20th. And we had a little bit of action going on here in the morning. It started here in 7:30 and a half hour ago, and of course, sure what that was all about. But there's no headlines out there I can see, so we'll find out here in short order. But starting off the week, a little bit of strength, I thought at least. We'll see if that kind of holds on. Last week ended up with a couple of days of pretty brutal selling. We were down here to these lower support areas. Today we're kind of holding, trading up a little bit in the overnight. We'll see where they're going to go from here. But we're pretty much still just smack in the middle of this bigger range. Lower end of this range is going to be down here at the 7350s, upper end above the 7600s. But it's a big range, and right now we're pretty much stuck there going building value. So unless they're going to start moving this higher, then we may start seeing some weakness develop, and at least them start challenging these lows a little bit more aggressively. But we are in earnings season, and we have a lot of stuff going on, including that the shooting war going on in the Middle East. But before I get there, let's take a look at the news this morning. The leading indicators at 10. That's all we got. Nothing at 8:30. Tomorrow, pretty much nothing. Wednesday, oil report, some inflation expectations, 20-year auction. Thursday, jobless claims. Friday, PMI and new home sales. It's a pretty light news week, actually. So not much going on news-wise this whole week. So we're going to be at the mercy of earnings and the Iranian situation, most likely. So Iranian situation that impacts oil. Oil price is going to be the one which kind of impacts the market if it goes up and down. Right now, it gapped up a little bit in the overnight. They get that down to 84, down to 81 again. So I was going to start off this day range bound. We are kind of stuck in this big range. We are not going. Going into the overnight for Friday, we had a pretty good down day, and then we just kind of stalled. They didn't do much. It closed kind of towards the lower end of the range. The overnight has traded back up again, so it's anyone's guess where they're going to go right now. So I would just stay range bound on it. It's going to be a lot of headline driven stuff as the news comes out in the Middle East, as well as earnings report comes out. It's going to be those two things is going to be driving the market over the next couple of weeks. So I would look to sell strength, buy weakness. If anything, given the Friday session, maybe look for more weakness if you can retest these lows at the 7460s. But it doesn't necessarily need to develop that at all. So it could go either way. So I would look to sell strength fairly equally against that 7450 or 7550. 7570s, 7580s. That's going to take us up to 7580s. It's going to get us close to this upper edge here, upper level. So 7580, 7590. And then now you're up against this upper area. And they'll see the high volume node going on there on the F1. So I would look to sell strength. I would look to buy weakness on the as it starts trading lower. Maybe not as aggressively if they're really looking for and to test these lower edges. We just saw the beginning of something, and by at the end of last week, then we may see some further weakness. So a little bit less aggressive on the buying, maybe, but it's definitely looking for buying opportunities against that 7510s, 7495s, 7480s, 7470s. 55s and the 45s here. You're done in the 74, 55s and 45s. You're down in this lower range again. So if they're down here flirting with the 74, 50s and 60s, well, then we are looking at some weakness coming our way. But in the beginning, to start off today, just range bound. Look to sell strength, buy weakness. You can certainly run higher or run lower in the early morning hours. We'll see which side you want to go on. But I would just look for it to get to resistance areas or support areas, and then look for potential support or resistance to hold, and then maybe a setup develops. It would be like a decent retest failure setup. That's the way I would approach it today. Um, if this kind of pertains, I mean, this is it. We're also gonna listen into the news here, see what caused this one at 7:30. Some reaction here. Nice little pop to the upside. It's pretty volatile there. So this is what it looked like all overnight. So when it looks like this before, that just something is going on. It's I just can't tell you what. If you saw a headline, type it in the chat, please. Sit down and listen to the financial news here after we're done with it. On the Nasdaq side of things, Nasdaq is a lot weaker. They really got creamed on Friday, the last couple of Thursday and Friday. You see Friday's session was way down. They really smoked it and then back up, and not quite as hard of a retracement to the upside. The overnight has been holding here in this lower level, well below the 29, 270, 280. So Nasdaq is the one who's been leading us lower. We'll see if they can make a comeback, or this early strength we're seeing in the overnight is just window dressing. Could be a little dead cat bounce or something, but it's I would look to sell against that strength all the way up to that 29 270s. So on the Nasdaq, I'm starting with a bias to the downside, because that pullback is a lot stronger than the ES had. And Nasdaq has a big area of value up here, but we kind of blew through that one on Friday, or even Thursday. We blew through that one, and Friday just extended the losses on that one. The big rotations going on in the Nasdaq, with big moves happening there. I remember the chip stocks getting hammered on Friday. So initially looking to sell strength right now against the 29,030s, 29,080s, 160s, 220, 215s, 240s, 280, 290s here. So these are the two resistance areas. If they start taking those out, well, maybe we're heading back up again in this upper distribution again. But right now, I'm not going to count on that. So if they start moving higher, I would look for short setups against these areas. On the way down, I would look to buy against weakness, but a lot less aggressively than I would on the ES. Let's see here, Nasdaq. So on Nasdaq, we are pretty much in a move out of the middle to the downside. The question is really, are we going to see extensions to the downside today? The ES is kind of borderline when it comes to that. So we're looking to buy weakness against well, you can see a 28 9 against the 28. I will start here at the 860s, at the 800s, 760s, 710s, 610s, 550s, 460s. You see the areas. If they start taking out this area here, the 720s, that's a pretty good ledge here from Friday's day session. I would be a lot more aggressive on the short side if that happens. So initially looking to buy all the way down here to that 710, 720 area. Below that one, not as aggressively at all. Still potential buying opportunities against these lower levels, but just not as aggressively. So the initial support, if they take out the 710, 720s, I think we are heading lower, heading back down to test the lows again. So on the Nasdaq, starting from the short side, looking to sell strength, favor the short side, or favor selling strength at least, or in the short side to get started. And then let's see how far they can take it. So initially for short setups against the 29,030s, 29,080s, 150s, 29,200s for rotations back down again. And then we'll see. There's a lot of range on the Nasdaq, so that can certainly move. I mean, it's been pretty volatile. 860,000 on the micro Nasdaq, 260 on the micro ES so far. The ES has traded, the regular ES has traded 200,000 so far in the overnight. So the micros are definitely picking up a lot of steam, that's for sure. Micro Nasdaq is pretty nuts. So ES not as crazy, and then just you can see the different comparison. Here's your F1, And here's your F1 for the ES and NASDAQ. You can see how the ES is not at all blowing through this big blob of resistance. Now, if you want to map up the low 75.10s, that would be fine. Because you can be already trading above it. Nasdaq is not even close to their lower support area. The ES is a lot stronger, not moving as volatile as crazily volatile as Nasdaq is, but both of them are kind of going in tandem. I would say that I'm going to be watching the Nasdaq for guidance as to which direction they're going to go. And if Nasdaq starts heading lower, probably drag the ES with it. If it goes higher, probably drag the ES higher. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And it's earnings season, so we'll see. I'm just going to check in on the news here to see what company report earnings this week, and that could certainly change the dynamics quite a bit. Now, looking at the bonds, just for guidance, bond market is still trading at 11. The capital flow on that, guys, is just not moving a whole lot. It's just sitting here around the 110.16s going sideways. So the bond market has been range bound for a long time, not moving a whole lot. Sometimes on news it moves a little bit directionally, but very much range bound market, and just keep trading it as such. So looking to buy against that 111s, 110.24. Looking to sell against 11.08, 11.12, 11.20. And maybe up to 11.24 for rotations back down. The reason I keep watching the bond market is because while you can get some of these setups, if you have a good day and you get the good setup and you can get in, that one can put some dollars in your account. You just have to be patient and wait for the setup. And the setup's going to be looking something like, I would want more than 2, 3 bars like that, 2, 3 bars stalling at the level. You have a move, you stall like that, you sit for a few bars. You want to fade that move. Same thing on the way down. I mean, if it looks more like this in the middle, where it's low volume, it's just kind of stalling on sideways, it looks like a setup, it is not. It's just stalling. So it's as a differential, the difference is that you want to see a little bit of movement in the direction, a little bit of volume, a little bit of movement, and then the stall at the level. And a couple of bars, 2, 3 bars building at that level, not being able to break through it. That gives you a shot. That gives you an opportunity to fade that move. So anyway, so that's the bonds. That's range bound trading on that guy. The crypto wise, I'm waiting for oil to roll. Last trading day on oil and July expiration on crypto oil. It's as you can see, that's why the book starts looking all weird and fading out. Now I haven't set it up yet, so you can just roll it. You have to roll it after the close today, then you can roll it. But it's if you want to force it, you can just do a symbol replace instead. You can instead of doing not there. If you go to the symbol manager, you right click, you go to your symbol, you can do a replace symbol instead. That forces a rollover instead if you want to do that. But right now, I would just stay. The silver is pretty much at 56, kind of. You can see everything just be snapping back and forth. Same story with gold, still holding about 4,000. Looks like Bitcoin is trending higher, up to 64,600. So if they can get up above 65 and show a bit of life, maybe we'll get excited about the long side. And on the crypto side of things, remember we have this legislation coming out. If they can get that Clarity Act past the Senate and actually into law, I think the crypto start taking off in a much better way. But right now they kind of stalled waiting for that legislation, which has been stuck in the Senate for God knows how long. So we'll see. But anyway, so that's the cryptos right now. We're watching for see if Bitcoin is going to show some strength here as the legislation starts coming together. Back to the ES and Nasdaq, and okay, it looks like this whole thing is shaping up, coming down. That's kind of back to where we were when it started. So no big directional move based on it. So on the ES, starting off range bound. On the Nasdaq, starting off with a slight bias to the downside. Let's see how this is going to develop. All right. Alrighty, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. So Good trading this summer week of July 20th, and I'll see you back at 11:30 later.